and welcome to the Point of Interest DroneCast, our second show. Glad you're back with us. We got a great show today. We are going to join Danny MCP, an FPV flyer, for our guest today. Also, our news stories are going to be
the remote ID.
Oh, fantastic. I'm doing the trust certificate, and we'll end today's show with Prak's tips. We're going to talk about keeping your batteries safe and sound. Exploring the people, places, and technology in the growing drone industry. This is the Points of Interest DroneCast. Hey, once again, welcome back. I'm Gary.
I'm Prak.
And welcome to the show. We've got some great stuff today, and we're going to start off our show with a guest. We went out and flew with Danny MCP out in King William County, and I had a great time with him and some of his friends. You ever flown FPV?
I did something similar. I was really bad.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, if you don't like roller coasters, this is not for you.
If you get motion sickness.
It is definitely motion sickness. Yeah. I remember I actually had that show we did a couple of weeks back where we were giving people an opportunity to learn how to fly. I put a bunch of people in FPV goggles, and we were flying the Avata, which is very easy to fly as an FPV. Most are not, but that one's got GPS control. And within minutes, people were sick. I mean, people were like, "Okay, I'm done. Here's your stuff back," and that's understandable. But it's really a special thing. So let's go check out Danny and his friends. Oh, by the way, before we get to the story, I have to tell you, you're a superhero. You're a superstar. And one of the guys when I was out there said, "Yeah, I'm doing the show with Prak," and he goes, "Oh, I take my drones to Prak to get fixed." So
thank you.
Everybody knows you. Everybody knows you. That's a great thing. So here we go. Let's go check out Danny.
I'm feeling good. Catch me in the South Life, rolling in a black dog, outrunning the sunrise. I'm feeling good. Devil on my hip, angel by my side, man. Everything is alright. I'm feeling good. Man, I'm feeling good.
How did you get into the drones?
I started like a lot of people with a toy grade drone, probably about 2017, I believe it was. And of course I ended up crashing that and losing that. Went out and bought one identical at Best Buy. It was a toy grade, but it was almost $200. And after I lost that one, I went ahead and bought the DJI Phantom 4. Okay. And that really is when I started YouTube and posting videos and doing the camera drone thing, and ended up seeing some FPV videos and really wanted to learn, and I can tell you it's a long learning curve.
How long did it take you to get this good?
To where I wouldn't crash?
Right.
At least a year. Now I'm an older guy, the young guys pick it up quicker, but I'd say I was a year before I couldn't just fly around lackadaisical and not crash my quad and then land it. So I would say about a year.
Are you a Part 107 pilot?
I am not. I am a hobbyist.
Tell me about some of the highlights of your career so far.
One that comes directly to mind is flying with you, Gary, at the Festival of Lights, or the Illuminate, in Doswell, Virginia. Yeah, and I appreciate that invite. That's probably one of the highlights of spots to fly.
What are some of your equipment preferences?
I've gone digital. I flew analog forever. I flew, my radio protocol was FR Sky. Doesn't have a lot of range. I've since went digital on my drone with DJI V2 goggles, and I went to Crossfire as my protocol on my radio to drone link, which you can fly probably 10 miles out line of sight. And I fly what I call a basher frame. This is a cheap frame. It's a Source 1 V2. I've actually got 3 of them identical. And you know, you got to have the DJI VTX and all that. So going digital was a big breakthrough for me.
What are some of the challenges of going with the FPV drones?
I'm just learning everything, you know, LiPo battery handling and safety. I mean, there's a lot of topics, and I kind of searched through YouTube. I didn't have anybody that kind of, you know, I had a lot of guys that helped me along the way, and it's a great community for that. But when you're first starting out, you know, I think I even reached out to somebody, which directions do the props go on? They're like, you need to learn that. You really do, because it's dangerous. If you put the props on wrong, go to take off, your quad will freak out. You know, might hit yourself, whatever. I don't suggest taking off near yourself anyway.
So those props are not marked like the DJI props?
No, they're not where they're only going. Yeah, they're not stupid proof, no.
What are some of the safety protocols that are different from other drones?
Like flying with these other guys today, we always try to have a spotter, somebody that can look around, see what's going around, looking for people. You know, we're in a park, so you know, you're looking for people, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't fly anywhere where I feel like I would put anybody in jeopardy.
In your opinion, what's the biggest invention that has changed the FPV game?
I think the digital video feed to your goggles, because I'm getting an actual 720p video to my goggles. Line of sight, I don't know. It'll probably go out for a mile or so line of sight, I would say. Now, penetration, you get behind stuff, it all changes.
Tell me about your creative process.
I usually, when I get home, the first thing I do is I start storage charging my LiPo batteries. And that makes them last, keeping them at a storage charge. Very first thing I do when I get home, I unpack these out of my bag and start them charging. Then I'll pull my video and I'll go through my video, and you know, I'll make notes actually, because I'll fly 6 packs out here today, so I have 6 videos to look through. And I look for highlights and different stuff. I try to make most videos like a one-take video. So if I've got one real strong pack, but sometimes you'll fly really strong and then you're kind of cruising around, and it doesn't make for a good video. So that's my process. The longest part, Gary, of my process is picking a song.
Your music selections are always the best part of your videos. Tell me about that.
I go to YouTube, search YouTube, and then what I do is, if I find a song I like, and it might take me 3 days to find a song. Okay, that process takes me a long time, and I go through all genres. You know, I search a little bit of everything. But if I find one that I like, then I'll go see if somebody's done a lyric video on YouTube, and if they've done a lyric video and I can see that, that tells me I know it's copyrighted, but they're allowing me to use it. And then what they'll do is they'll put a little banner across the top with a redirect to their video that they want you to watch, the owner of the music. That's my way of using copyrighted music, because some people allow you to use it. I can tell you the Eagles, all their songs are locked down. As soon as I've tried to upload anything to Eagles, it says copyright, will not let you load it.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard that.
Their music is all, I don't know why, and I like the Eagles, but their music is locked down.
What would you give as advice to other people who want to get into the FPV drone world?
Ooh, my best advice would be, don't get into it. It's a rabbit hole. Seriously though, I think if they wanted to get into FPV drone, I would probably. There's a couple ways to go about that, and a simulator is a great way to. And they got great simulators now that are pretty close to real-time flying. But you need to invest in a radio. Still, that doesn't mean you can't take a PlayStation and learn on the joysticks on that.
What is your radio model?
It's old school, Tyrannus QX7, and I've modified it with a Crossfire module.
Nice.
But the other option is to buy, Happy Model's got, I think it's the Tiny Hawk 2, and I think for $200 you get a radio, you get a set of goggles, a cheap set of goggles. It's analog, it's not digital, and you get a little drone that's got prop guards and everything. So if you want to learn that way, you know, you can't fly in high winds or anything, but when the small quads crash, they don't break. You know, not the inertia, they just don't break like these big boys do. That'd be a great starting place. If you've got a computer and want to do the game system, if you've got a PlayStation controller, then you don't even have to buy a radio. You can do that and see if you like it. And you can also learn. I learned everything in the School of Hard Knocks. I mean, I've learned how to build, I've learned how to repair, I've learned how to troubleshoot. There's a lot to it. And I'm still learning. It's a huge learning curve.
Tell everybody about your drone channel and how to get in touch with you.
Okay, the name, everybody calls me Dano, by the way. And the name of my channel is I'll Be Droned. Kind of like past tense. I'll Be Droned. Make sure you check it out.
Perfect. Hey, thank you, Danny, for being with us.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, Dano, you got it, buddy.
Demon, Jones County in the end zone. Out because I've been gone with the wind. I've blown a lot of money on these headphones and micro. Nomad running the roads, rocking shows, vocal recital. Just keep making sure they hear you. Rattling the review, breaking speakers, flipping fuses, taking no L's. I refuse. I don't do it for the money, just the love. Then my hustle turned a little to a lot. That's enough to buy them things we always wanted for ourselves and not just daydream of, but bring it in the living room and sit it right there. It's like we
All right, we're back, and we're back with our news stories of the day. And you know, this one is really timely, and I'm really excited to hear everything you've learned about it, Prak. I know that you've been looking into the remote ID. Tell us about it. Oh, yeah.
You know, it expires tomorrow. So we have to be ready. So the FAA had set regulation, and now law enforcement officer and federal agents are required to actually enforce it. Okay? And so far, not all drone company are ready. You're looking at the only fully compliant company is Skydio, the American drone company. All the drones are compatible. DJI, however, has a few small issues. The majority of the drones that you bought within the last 3 or 4 years are just fine. There's issue with the original Mavic. So
Like 1 or 2?
the first one,
Okay.
Generation 1, has an issue. DJI's been working with firmware updates, but so far it's been having, when they do the firmware update, they do have a problem with the OcuSync, the video transmission. But the other drones you're looking at, like Parrot is, they're trying, but they need a lot of improvement. So Parrot's not ready. And definitely you're looking at like XEO, ProSwell, and Unique. Those are all not compatible at all. So you're in violation if you're flying it commercially. However, there is a workaround. Okay, so the Autel also, the Autel is also has issues, and there's a workaround. If you spend so much money on these drones, you can retrofit your drone. You can buy this remote ID transmitter, and you can attach to your drone. It weighs maybe 10 grams, and that will allow you to register through remote ID, and if you're flying it commercially. But again, if your drone is under 250 grams and you're flying it recreationally, long as you're in line of sight and you're not in the designated no-fly area, you are fine at this point.
How much are those retrofitted ones?
The retrofitted one, you can get a Adreno Power one for under $50, and they can have the one I have here and showing in front of everybody is a retrofitting the first generation Mavic Pro. That is about $200, and it adds a little more weight to your drone. And again, if you're flying it commercially, great. If it's your own property and you're flying within 400 feet and you're not in a U.S. airspace, you should be fine.
Very good. We'll keep up with that. Of course, this is about the 4th attempt to get this started.
Yes.
And that's interesting because they put it off, and I think we finally have reached a date where it will be mandatory compliance with that with the FAA. So I'm going to talk about the trust. Another change within the entire FAA program, our protocol that they are making mandatory now, which is interesting. We know the 107 has been something that has been out for, I don't know, 8 years probably, and gave the FAA a way of kind of controlling and giving rules out there for those that were commercial. Well, they decided now with trust, and by the way, trust stands for something. It's not just a funny word because we want to trust you. It's actually the Recreational UAS Safety Test, okay? And basically, everyone now, recreational flyers or, well, if you have a 107, you don't need it, obviously. You've already passed all the testing we need to test,
Yes.
and maybe beyond. But the trust certificate is now required for anybody flying fixed wing or drones, okay? So you have to go in, take the test. It takes about 30 minutes. You go, and I'll put the site right here. Again, from the FAA, they have the drone zone that they have now. Go to there, watch the tape, take the test. It's a few questions. But they just want to make sure that people don't have an excuse anymore. Like we talked about last week when we talked about flying over the stadiums.
Yes.
And people said, I didn't know. Well, now you'll have to know. If you own a drone, you have to have a trust certificate. And as a matter of fact, it's mandatory, just like a license for your car.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what your age is, but you've got to have it on you.
Correct.
If you're flying, you've got to have the trust certificate to show that you've actually taken the test. And I think it's a great idea. I think the FAA is doing some positive things to kind of keep us all in line and don't have any of those bad apples we talked about before.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I've noticed when I first started flying drones, and I asked these pilots, are they certified or have they taken the class? A majority of them say, I go with this principle. Better to ask for forgiveness and permission.
Yeah, I do that in life, everywhere. But I think this is,
I think it's a bad idea now.
We don't know when, if ever the drone police are going to show up. But it's a great idea, and as law enforcement gets around to enforcing these things, if they see it and they think that they want to stop you doing what you're doing, they'll have a reason now. If you don't have that with you.
Well, each and every one of us who fly drones, we are the ambassador. We want to demonstrate, the right use of drones, and definitely. So do not do anything reckless within, because the federal government is closely looking into it. If you appreciate drones, please check each other, help each other out.
Sure. And just to make sure you understand too, this applies to everybody, not just commercial, recreational. And recreational is defined as anybody that's got a drone, basically. And it doesn't matter even the weight with that particular trust certificate. If you're going to fly something, they want you to know 400 feet. They want you to know not over people, just the general rules.
Common sense stuff.
Not near an airport. Those things that you've got to know, you have to learn through trust.
I trust that.
So I want to ask you a couple of questions about your story, because it really interests me. It's been something that's been going on for a while. And I've heard that this is a lot of droners are kind of pushed back to this thing and pushing back against it, because you might find yourself in a position that someone could find you. Like it knows where you are and it knows where the drone is. And so someone with the ability to read the telemetry of where you were at might go to the location you are and beat you up, steal your drone. I don't know. There's all kinds of possibilities. Have you heard anything about that?
That's the downside. I mean, you're looking right now, if you have the right app, you can see who owns the drone. So if you were a property owner and someone is flying over your house, you technically can figure out who drone it is, and you can
see. Where the problem is, if you look at a license plate, DMV produces a license plate.
Correct.
Has your number on it, but you can't find out unless you're police like yourself.
Correct.
You can't go out there and say this belongs to John Smith, because it's only a number, right? To you until law enforcement looks into it.
Yes.
So the problem with this remote ID or license plate is it gives away
the address,
your information.
Yes. What I suggest is maybe an email, or a phone number that person can contact, and maybe a different level for law enforcement and federal agents.
Yeah. Or maybe it gives you an ID number that can't be traced, but they could give that to law enforcement.
Correct.
Yes,
like a license plate.
Right. Because you might chase somebody down with a license plate.
Correct.
You give that to license. You're not going to take these kind of things into your own hands. And that's what we're afraid of, is someone taking, revenge into their own hands.
I can see so many reiteration of this bill, And I see a lot of hurdles that the federal government has to go through.
Sure.
It's almost like trying to remove a gun from somebody's house.
Yeah.
It's going to be that tough.
There are privacy issues for
Yes.
us, the droners.
Yes,
There's
exactly.
all kinds of things. So is this DJI going to be compatible?
This was 100% compatible.
Fantastic, because I got a lot of money in
If
DJI.
you fly it and it's not compatible, guess what happens? You can only fly it about 30 feet and a little bit away from you.
Really?
About maybe 5
So
yards.
there are restrictors on it. if
Yes,
it's not-
it's restricted already.
Wow, that's cool. All right, hey, listen, great story. If you have any more questions about either one of our stories, you'll see the information here on the screen, as well as in the notes.
All the articles in there too.
Right, so you can check that out. And coming up next, we're gonna do Prak tips. We're talking about batteries tonight. Each and every week, Prak is going to tell you some things he can do or help you with your drone maintenance, which is a big part of keeping drones flying. So, Prak, tell us about what we're going to do today.
We're going to talk about batteries. You know, battery is to a drone as gas is to car.
Sure.
It is needed. One of the most heavy part of the drone is the battery. This is a lithium-ion battery. It's pretty heavy, and it's very finicky. You have to store it in just the right amount of temperature. And also, as far as state of charge, it depends on whether you're going to use it that day or that week or long-term storage, okay? So the temperature you want to store it at is between 30 and 95 degrees
Okay.
Fahrenheit, okay? Look down there for the Celsius conversion. And Gary did a good job right here. Make sure you put your information on the drone, on the battery, because sometimes you go to a convention, someone borrow your battery, and
That's right.
I've lost many batteries this way.
Sure.
Okay. And so if you were to go on travel, say the FAA or the airport, they prefer you to have about 2 bars on here or less. Okay. 80% charge, they probably won't allow it on the plane, and you have to actually detach it from the plane, from the drone itself.
Sure. And put it in the litho sack.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and then not a carry-on. This is definitely a check-in. Okay, and as far as if you plan to, you want to charge it 100%, you have to fly it that day. Because if you overcharge it, you can damage the battery. When the anode and the cathode touch each other, you create dendrite. And once the dendrite touches, just one dendrite touch, this battery is no longer good.
Yeah.
And if you open up this battery and try to fix yourself, it's not going to work. It's very dangerous. It might explode on you. So again, only charge the battery when you need to fly that day, or you have maybe within that week. But if you don't, this battery, if you fully charge it and you don't use it, it'll slowly drain itself. But don't allow it to go below 1 bar like this, Gary.
So
It's a little dangerous.
Is that circuit board that takes
authenticated.
it down?
Yes.
Is that available in like the older batteries, like the Phantoms? Or
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay.
All the DJI drones, they worry about the LiPo and the lithium-ion battery because, again, it's
Very
a
good.
fire hazard.
And tell them what would be something to look at to know that this would not be a good battery to use anymore.
Okay, when you first open up your drone and look into the battery, if you tap it, you see a glowing light, means that the battery is still in good condition. However, you see this one white blinking bar, you might want to charge it. If it goes to 0, no blinking bar, you have a dead battery.
Meaning it's never going to charge.
It's never
again.
going to charge again. And if it does, it's only going to charge for 30%.
Okay.
So definitely you need to charge it soon.
Sure.
And
Yeah, I just flew with that battery today, so that's
yeah,
why.
so you're good.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
make sure you charge it. And when you do not fly it to this point too either.
Yep. And other things like swelling.
30% is good. Swelling. Swelling is a sign that the dendrite is about to touch. If the dendrite were to touch mid-flight, your drone will crash. They won't have any more power. It'll drop like a brick.
And that's why some of the better drones have 2 batteries.
Yes.
Just in case one goes bad, it will get home on.
And as far as like third-party batteries, I highly don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Spend the money and always have a backup battery.
Sure.
For your
Sure. And of course, on the really bad side is these batteries, and some of the
Very
cheaper
expensive.
ones, the third-party ones, will catch on fire. And if it catches on fire
Yes.
in your home, it can burn your house down.
Yes, and DJI has a little serialized battery, so to prevent it from to prevent you from putting third-party battery in, it has a battery ID authenticator.
Yep, and you can see that on your controller. You can actually see the battery ID
Yeah.
when you pull up your controller, so you can actually.
If the battery authentication fail, you can't fly the drone because it becomes a danger.
Sure. Awesome.
Yep.
Great information. So glad you know all this kind of stuff. And don't forget, Prak is also a great guy. If you crash your drones, which is kind of what everybody does. What's the old saying? Fly, crash, fix, repeat. Right?
Correct. Yes.
So that's kind of
Yeah.
what we do. But listen, send it to him. The information again down here in front of us. How to get in
Yeah.
touch with Prak and get your stuff back in the air.
If you want to learn how to fly a drone properly, contact Gary.
Yep, we've got to actually have a school this week, Drone 101, and you can learn all the things you need to know about drone.
If you have a small law enforcement or fire agency and you need instruction, Gary is certified to train you guys in it.
Appreciate that. Hey, listen, next week too, we're going to have, pretty sure we're going to get Charlie Wood, a good friend of mine from Skydio, is going to be.
Can you give us a free drone?
I've asked
I would
him
like
for
to
years.
try it out.
I really have. He'll tell you. I've asked him for
Yeah.
years. I've never gotten one. So he's going to be on with us, and look forward to that and more great stuff. Remember that we want you to write into us.
Yes.
My email again. Tell us some things you'd like for us to cover. Come out, and if you're getting together doing something fun, we want to hear about it. Matter of fact, I don't know if I've told you about this, but I'm planning a photo scavenger hunt with a drone.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That's
It's
exciting.
gonna be fun. We're gonna do that.
There gonna be prizes.
There are gonna be prizes.
Oh, I'm
and,
there.
Yep. Gonna be and free lunch. Free lunch.
Free
If
lunch.
you come out to
Okay.
do it, we got free lunch, and we're doing it from top of. I'm not gonna tell you where yet, but a friend of mine that owns a bar that's a rooftop bar, so we can launch from the rooftop bar.
Oh, that is awesome.
That's going to be a lot of fun. That's coming up probably in April because it's going to have to be.
It's
April.
going to be covered in this episode, right? The next episode of ours.
Probably so. We have some information on it. But listen, hey, thanks a lot for joining us. Hope you got something out of this, and hope you'll join us next time. I'm Gary,
I'm Prak.
and what did you say last time? Fly safe.
Yes.